Hey there, and welcome to Community Crypto on CoinDesk TV. I am Zack Seward. I am filling in today for Isaiah Jackson, and we have a real great guest with us today. We have a fairly iconic electronic music producer, and if you are one of his 15 million fans, you would recognize his style of electronic dance music or EDM. Let's play some music.
It is shining like three seeds of pomegranates in my hands. It's just us that's on this beach and all this sand, all of this water.
That's right. That's Joel Zimmerman, the artist. I guess so. We're promoting the Pharrell track right now. That's Joel Zimmerman, also known as Deadmau5. He is joining us now on CoinDesk TV. Deadmau5, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Like unexpectedly busy as shit. It's like so I don't know, spring, winter, going into spring, and the forecast for live events and stuff was very grim. And I'm like, okay, so you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take the first summer off I've ever had in 12 years.
Wow, so you're like, you have cabin fever. You have like full on cabin fever? No, you're on the road, you're seeing things? What happened? What did COVID happen? Was there a pandemic or something?
Yeah, Vegas was like, what pandemic? And then I went and did a show there, and then everyone else was like, oh, Vegas is doing it. We're doing it too. And then what happened to be like a couple of one-off shows turned into like a whole summer tour.
Yeah,
and hey, it's been fun. It's been cool. It's been nice to get out and see people and stay far away from them. But it's been an interesting summer, that's for sure.
I didn't see your set, but I was down there in Miami for the Bitcoin conference. Did you play down there in June?
Yeah, I did. I played some strip club.
Yes.
11.
The
yeah.
11.
I made like $2 stripping. It was pretty legit.
Cool.
Making
it
fiat.
rain.
Yeah.
The fiat. Okay. Well, I wanted to go backstory a little bit on your crypto adventure. First of all, I was trying to cast around the internet to find definitively when you first became a Bitcoin commentator. I saw something on Reddit that you made like a Bitcoin joke in like 2014, and like I don't know, someone like tipped you their Reddit gold or something like that. So yeah, I want the definitive. I want the definitive telling of how you entered the rabbit hole.
Well, like pre-pandemic. Obviously I was like really kind of dabbling around, and a buddy of mine bought me an amp miner. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Like it's just like a little GPU in a box, basically, that you just kind of plug in.
One of those Bitmain machines, right?
Yeah, kind of. And he's like, here, if you want to play around with this. So I started hacking around with it and running it and all that stuff, just trying to get a sense of, the tech and like, what is this? Because again, like maybe in 2016, 17, I was just like, kind of, what do you mean magical internet money? And then I touched on it so lightly over the years. And then of course, when everyone was grounded, then the NFT boom and all this stuff. And then it's just, then everyone's like, changing their CVs to, I'm actually an NFT artist.
Oh, of course.
Not a digital artist anymore. I've hung that code up. I'm doing NFTs.
Hey, man, you have legitimate like early cred. You were an Audius fairly early on in the game back in 2019. You're doing decentralized streaming. This must have made sense to you in some big picture way, right? Like, what's the big picture appeal for why crypto is attractive to you?
Just the robustness of the tech, and I've always been for it, right? So I like, if I ever get like cornered at a party or something like that, and then it turns into like kind of a stock trader view of crypto. It seems to be the more dominant form of, oh, you're into crypto, right? So no, I'm not at home with 8 screens and graphs and buy low, sell high. I could, that's not my world. I don't know it at all. It's just such a mystery to me. And it's kind of cool. It looks like I can see how it's like super attractive, especially like if you're like a gamer, right? And you play these like kind of like games where you have to make, decisions based on, numbers and times to do things and stuff like that. Like, it's almost like, it looks to me like, I'm like, wow, I can see how this is really attractive to people, even if it's as like, as well, quote unquote primitive as like, trading on, day trading and stuff like that. So I've always had a sense of why that would be attractive and stuff like that. But that seemed to be the big conversation of crypto. So you say crypto, you think of trading. and that's it, and I've went under the hood, so to speak, or taken a parallel of that and said, well, wait a minute. This is really good technology for systems like SoundScan and IRSC and stuff like that, because it's like irrefutable proof of ownership. Because as I understand it, the way the blockchain works, it's like you can't fuddle with that. You can't fake that. Well, you can. It's not infallible. Everyone's like, oh, it's irrevocable proof. You just have to hack like what, $20,000-$30,000 or 30,000 computers to change a hash or something like that. Like it's ridiculous. So
that's nothing.
Yeah.
20,000, whatever.
Yeah, you do RTX 9080.
All right, well, you just
anyway,
those letters and numbers like really threw me off there. So that's even beyond my knowledge. I wanted to fast forward to 3 more letters. NFT. You guys got in the space, I think, at the end of last year. Is that right? What was your first NFT experiment?
I think it was a little before that. I think my real first success NFT stuff was with Sutu. I think it could have been before, because I'm totally transparent with a lot of things that I do, and I do understand a lot of my career is owed to just dumb luck or decisions other people have made. And my manager, Dean Wilson, just he went off with the rares thing, right? And at first I had no idea, but he's like, trust me, kind of vibes, like this is the thing. And I thought probably what a lot of older people thought when that was the thing. You mean they're selling JPEGs for this? And and then that was like the surface level approach to NFTs, right? Like as we know them, right? Like, 'cause we all know NFT can be a lot of things, but let's just focus on it being like a static image or a GIF or a moving thing. And then when it started to sink in a little more, when I realized, well, wait, this is like the same kind of Pokemon mentality, where you've got that rare thing, that 1 of 1 or the 1 of 10 or 1 of 100 even, and that is bound to you by, an underlying technology that can show that you have that provenance and no one else does. So I'm like, aha, now this technology is pretty rad for just that alone, because it's kind of like, it's like a Pokemon thing. You can go to Nifty and this and that or Super Rare and buy these things. And then, I can swing my dick around and say, hey, I own a 1 of 1 Stephen Balte, kind of thing. So, but that's not a new idea. I mean, Art Basel's been a thing for a minute, and all these, the high art now kind of stuff that just kind of happens in closed doors in Miami and New York City and stuff like that. So I thought that was a really cool translation between, that kind of cool kid club, intersecting parallels with the digital age and stuff like that, because the barrier to entry was really low. You want to buy a Damien Hirst? Yeah, cool. That'll be $10 million.
Well, Damien Hirst did a 10,000 run NFT series with the little dots. Did you see those ones that he did?
No, I
did
didn't.
You see
actually.
the Damien Hirst NFTs? Yeah,
it's real. No, I'm going to look that up after though, because I'm really curious what that would be like.
Out. Yeah, they're pretty good looking. So yeah, I guess I wanted to ask you. You mentioned sort of how the pandemic forced a lot of rethinking in the music industry in terms of how to engage with your fans, right? You're not on the road, you're not touring.
I think the music industry was, how do we still make money? Let's be honest. You know what I mean? Okay, that's going to be a component of that. Cool. Yeah. The music industry is like, our main source of income has been cut off. How do we recoup? How do we do this? And
that's my question. Peel back the curtain a little bit. When you're having conversations with fellow artists, fellow musicians, is that what's catalyzing all these crypto experiments? It's like, hey, this is something new.
A small part.
You know what? Now is the time to try it. So what's
a
animating
small part?
It
yes. Yeah. It was definitely worth the quote unquote risk. For sure, because it's like, not what else are you doing? Because as a musician or a brand, you have I would say if you had your shit together, you've got a good 5 or 6 ancillary things you can do that don't involve you being on a stage. To fuel whatever it is you're doing, whether you're putting money back into, if you're a bigger artist and you own a record label and you've got all these staff and other people you got to pay and stuff like that. But you got things like merchandise, streaming stuff. And of course, the NFT scene was a hot bubble for like a minute, and it was a really cool thing to watch. And I'm not really like, I don't know. I get a little jaded sometimes when it comes to, someone doing something and then everyone doing the thing. And then, it's just the hyperbole of, that thing that happens. And we all saw it. You know what I mean? We saw like Paris Hilton and this and that. And, every swinging thing and anything was doing the NFT for a second. But what's interesting to me now is how that's like stopped. And, as things like quote unquote open up a little bit more, they're going back to more traditional sources of things. Whereas like, I feel like I'm going to hang around because again, it's not the concept of, selling a limited edition digital asset, for lots of money is the future. I think it's the underlying technology that's going to intersect with the traditional methods of how creators, not just musicians, generate revenue for their output. And it's like replacing money in a dumb way of saying it, where it's like if there's going to be legitimate economies fueled by cryptocurrency or blockchain technology and stuff like that, then it's 1,000% worth not overlooking it being intersected into your traditional means of some kind of income or payment for your creative output, like tickets.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I mean, you sort of have a multi-pronged crypto strategy, right? Like I can go on your website and buy stuff with crypto, right? You have like an NFT thing going on. What's next? Like you've been at this crypto thing for a while. Do you have any guesses as to what your next crypto journey will be?
Well, there's short game and long game. Where it's like short game is obviously like it is very well, not easy, but it's something we can do within our grasp, is where we can do, packs with rares, or I can do my personal one-of-ones on super rare and do some nifty drops just to, make Clubhouse kids happy. I don't know. But the long game, the way I see it though, is that there is a big dissent for the way that music is being distributed and handled and consumed right now, from the artists to, the larger monopolies out there like Spotify and stuff like that. It's like it's upended the whole music model and has fucked everyone except for, the big streaming networks and stuff like that. There's a reason these companies make billions of dollars, and I'm not saying, hey, it's time to start the revolution. It's just, no, we need a system that works better, that's a little more fair for creators and stuff like that. Of course, always and until the end of time, the popular artist, right, the one that's got like 200 million fans worldwide and stuff like that, will always be better off than the other one and stuff like that too. But now when you start to integrate that into these kind of monolithic platforms like Spotify, it's like the rich get richer in that spot because they can have the odds, the placement. There's like the wizard behind the curtain there fudging around this and that with some, backdoor deals about, hey, let's make these results cater to this kind of person and stuff like that. So it's like the SEO of those big streaming things sucks for everyone, really, and it's not right. So it's like the big long fight is well, let's decentralize, right? Now, when you apply that decentralization mentality to the way that Spotify and all these other big companies work in terms of like, this is how you have to release music. Because if I were to do an album today, there are things I have to do that really like work well with big streaming platforms. I can't just put it up on Deadmau5.com and make like a Square payment thing and then say, hey, you like this music, go here, because there's no search, there's no discovery there. It's like it's going to be word on the street kind of.
I mean, talk to me about Audius for a minute, because I think the platforms suck is like not a news story, right? Like people have been saying hey, these platforms like kind of sucks. I make a penny or less than a penny every time I play, and it's not really working for artists. And I kind of feel like
mp3.com back in the day. Yeah.
And I feel like
absolutely.
I feel like Audius presents an alternative. It's something that you've been involved in for a number of years, and it actually seems to be picking up a little bit of momentum. So I'm just curious about that.
I'm on board with that mentality because, again, you know, Audius pops up on my radar, right? And I'm like, okay, SoundCloud, that's not owned by Germans. Neat. But as I explored that and had some discussions with Forrest and some of the really clever guys that are like behind it, it's the underlying blockchain, you know, tech that's kind of like basically tracing everything and imbuing that music and tying it to that kind of system is the forward thinking part. You know, it's not the player, the look, the place that you would go to, you know, find music and stuff like that. Maybe one day it will become that, who knows? But it was a really interesting thing to see, especially in the last like couple months when ByteDance or TikTok, whichever one of those two companies, I don't know if they're the same
TikTok.
now, but
TikTok announced the partnership where you could
yeah,
upload songs.
you know, and I thought, well, okay, that's cool because now we got like a bunch of 13-year-olds doing TikTok dances to stuff
TikTok
like that.
kids.
But the interlinking system between, you know, the whole like crypto and using their CDNs to deliver the music to TikTok users that can just go through the thing. They're in a way kind of skirting an already broken Digital Millennium Copyright Act, which is great.
Okay. I see how it is. So you mentioned the TikTok kids. You also mentioned the Discord kids, and I want to get to the Discord because everything's moving to Discord, right? That's where all these communities live.
Sure.
And I wanted to know, like, you know, what does the community think of these cards? Are the kids hype on these cards? Are they silly? Do they like it? Do they get it? Is it a speculative play? Is it something that they use to flex online? When you see your community engaging with these cards, how are they engaging?
I take a temperature. I don't get too involved because I'm just like, you know, I'm always like kind of working on me things and Deadmau5 things and this and that. So, but I do make a point to, you know, kind of hop in and take the overall temperature of, say, the mouse cord we have. It's like a big Discord server where it's, you know, maybe 8,000-9,000 users kind of pop in there and then they chat about this and that and stuff like that. And from time to time, I do see talk of, you know, these the rares collections and stuff like that, and it's pretty cool because
what do they say? What's the talk when they say this rares thing? What do they say?
I can say this, like midway through our big tour last year before the pandemic, when everything was open, we had bought these vending machines and we sold pins. Okay. And what we did, like just pins, you know, fun little pins and stuff like that. And I thought, oh, well, cool, neat, let's do that. You know what I mean? Without really forward thinking into the future of like what that would turn into. And what would happen is what we noticed at shows. So we'd have like 2 or 3 of these machines up in the concession area. And, you know, kids would go in there and, you know, pump in a $5 bill and get a pin, right? Which is the point, right? Okay. So for me, I would have figured that's the end of the transaction. You know, money, pin, cool, done. Pleasure doing business with you. Thanks for your support. No, but what actually ended up happening was I started to witness, you know, groups of kids kind of coalescing here and there, trading these pins, and it became a social activity, which was really cool to see. And I was like, oh my God, this is actually pretty rad, because now I've got, you know, some people who appreciate my music, some other people who appreciate my music, and now they're getting together and, you know, they're starting conversation, interacting with each other. Like, again, it became a social activity. Oh, you've got this one, I've got this one. Hey, let's trade. And then even better, I started to see this pin trading happen online. So I have a Reddit, and I'm seeing every now and again these topics. Hey, I have a double of this. Anyone want to trade? And then they kind of become pen pals that way. You know what I mean? And I was like, holy shit. Yeah. Well, yeah, pin pals. And it was really neat to watch something that I thought was just a simple one and done transaction thing. So, you know, you put money in the thing. But then when they started to add the, I got to be careful with my words here, SEC, but the lottery component of getting the rare, the rare golden one or something like that. So we started to then spike the machines with, you know, I would sign a couple and literally randomly pick a spot in the little carousel, slip it in there and think like, oh my God, some kid's going to get this and he's going to be like king for a day because he's got the one of one or the one of 10 or something like that. And that also kind of provided, well, like maybe a little incentive, like maybe I'll buy 3 of these and I'll get lucky, you know, and that kind of thing. So again, being very, very, very careful with my words here, but you know,
Gary Gensler. don't listen to this part.
It's really, and on that note, it's actually really interesting to see the discussions happening behind, the SEC doors with online first come, first served, or unique chance to get like that. It gets a little dark.
Have a ticket, get a ride. But yeah, it's interesting to see, like Kings of Leon, they did this golden ticket thing where golden ticket, you can go anywhere in the world to see a show of your choosing. So it's interesting to see this sort of NFT arms race that was emerging over the course of this year as people tried.
I'm low-key interested to see whatever legislation that gets that creates interference with that too, because that's gambling.
Wait a minute, are you low-key crypto regulation nerd?
No. It's like a show. I'm not pro anything that's maybe 10% of what America's doing right now, but it's fun to watch from Canada.
Yeah. Oh wait, are you in Canada?
So it's like that. You know what I mean?
Are you in Canada?
I'm not pro legislation on.
No. It seems like you're attuned to that narrative, and you should subscribe to the State of Crypto newsletter by CoinDesk colleague Nick Day. He will keep you plugged in on the latest regulatory developments in the crypto world.
Like I said, it's good to be aware. But again, I'm not an evangelist on legislation and bureaucracy of how cool things work, but I always kind of have to keep my finger on the pulse.
It's absolutely part of the conversation. I wanted to peel back. You mentioned sort of going under the hood and looking at some of these systems. I'm going to test you. I'm going to test your knowledge of some base layers, and I'm really curious for your thoughts. So Ethereum obviously is the powerhouse, right, where a lot of NFT momentum lives. You've probably experienced that with some of your Nifty Gateway drops. Interestingly, this card pack that you're doing is on the Wax blockchain, the Rares pack. I was just curious about your take on the various sort of base layers and what it means for users as it relates to trading fees and minting fees and other considerations that come in from the technical side. What's your base layer of choice right now?
I have no idea.
Oh,
I know when to be stupid.
Okay.
And not pretend to be smart. And it's not even a matter of me not being interested. I am interested, but it's also a matter of I have to do a lot of Joel things from 9 to 5. And it's I wish I had an extra 4 hours in my day to really peel back the layers of what is involved in the terms of cost to produce an NFT and where that goes. Obviously to the place that's curating it and stuff like that. But what is that fee covering? Is that server usage? Is that the computing costs? Whether it's going to be in gas or whatever.
Yeah, a lot of it on Ethereum just goes to the miners, right? It's a gas fee that goes to the miners that, to get your transaction in that next block, you have to pay a premium to make it happen. Some of the other networks obviously have different sort of systems that avoids.
I never assume anything's free in terms of doing something, right? So it's so if I were going to give hey, this is a free ticket to a free show that you can come and watch, and I'm playing in some warehouse, right, and it's free. People come, but there are expenses involved. I have to pay labor for people that are organizing it or putting it together, or gear rentals and this and stuff too. So that makes sense, right? So I understand that kind of the way that economy would work in terms of a live event. So now it's just a matter of I need to start crossing the wires between that and what is happening with crypto, right? In terms of why it's moving, how come it's so volatile, you know what I mean? Because there's obviously some underlying things that just not a lot of people would immediately, see when purchasing a digital asset.
Got it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to play the idiot on this one.
Well, I appreciate you doing that. I'm still learning how to do that. It's definitely a skill. So thank you for sharing that wisdom in how to be dumb. That's good stuff. Deadmau5, we're lucky to have you in the crypto ecosystem. You're doing good stuff. It's always fun to see you pop up in CoinDesk coverage. So keep on keeping on, will you?
All right, will do. Thanks for having me.
All right, thanks so much. Good chatting with you. That was Deadmau5. He is a renowned EDM musician, and he joined us today on Community Crypto. I'm Zack Seward. I'm filling in this week for Isaiah Jackson. Be sure to tune in for another edition of Community Crypto. Next week is at 4 p.m. Eastern Time on CoinDesk TV. Thanks so much, and you have a great day.